Welcome to HouseLux Estate, the go-to place for all things economics and real estate. Today, we dive into the fascinating world of behavioral economics and how psychology influences our economic decisions. In the vast universe of economics, a star has been steadily rising, capturing the attention of thinkers and decision-makers worldwide. This star is behavioral economics, a field that marries the insights of psychology and the principles of economics. It's a captivating arena where the human mind meets the market, where emotions and biases play out on the economic stage. Understanding this concept is crucial, not just for economists but for everyone. Why? Because it affects our daily decisions, from choosing a cup of coffee to buying a house. It reveals why we sometimes act against our own economic interests, why we save less and spend more, or why we fall for marketing traps. So buckle up as we unravel the mysteries of the human mind and its influence on our wallets. Let's kick off with a real-life example, the Starbucks phenomenon. Picture your typical morning routine. You're walking down the street, and there it is, the familiar green logo of Starbucks. You might be drawn in by the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, but what keeps you coming back isn't just the promise of caffeine. It's the clever application of behavioral economics that Starbucks has perfected. Behavioral economics, in a nutshell, is about understanding the psychology behind our economic decisions. Starbucks, being the coffee giant that it is, has effectively used these principles to influence our spending habits. Let's delve into two of these concepts: the anchoring effect and the decoy effect. Firstly, the anchoring effect. This is a cognitive bias where we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we encounter, the anchor. At Starbucks, the anchor is the menu board. We see the prices and our brains automatically use these as a reference point for what we're willing to pay for a coffee. Even if we think it's a bit pricey, we're anchored to the idea that this is the norm. Secondly, the decoy effect. This is where a third option is introduced to make one of the other two seem more attractive. For example, Starbucks might price a small coffee at $3, a medium at $4, and a large at $4.50. The large coffee suddenly seems like a great deal compared to the medium, doesn't it? That's the decoy effect at work. Starbucks doesn't just sell coffee, they sell an experience. From the ambiance of their stores to the personalized names on every cup, they're selling a sense of belonging and comfort. That's another layer of behavioral economics, understanding that our economic decisions aren't just about price and value, but about emotion and perception too. Starbucks has indeed brewed a perfect blend of psychology and economics to keep us coming back for more. Next, we move on to a Swedish giant, IKEA, and the psychological trick they use to make us spend more. Let's dive into the fascinating world of flat-pack furniture and Swedish meatballs. IKEA, the world's largest furniture retailer, has mastered a psychological phenomenon known as the IKEA effect. This concept, named after the famous Swedish store, describes a cognitive bias where people place a disproportionately high value on products they partially created. You see, the brilliance of IKEA's business model doesn't just lie in its affordable, stylish, and functional products. IKEA makes you part of the production process. You select your furniture, transport the flat-pack boxes home, and then spend a good chunk of your day assembling it. In essence, you're not just buying a piece of furniture, you're investing time and effort into creating something. This investment of personal labor results in an increased perceived value of the product, making it feel more special and unique. Researchers have conducted numerous studies on this phenomenon. They found that when people put their sweat and effort into assembling a product, they believe it's worth more than professionally assembled, identical products. In fact, the participants were willing to pay a premium for the products they had assembled themselves. This is the IKEA effect at play. What's more, the IKEA effect is not just limited to furniture assembly. It extends to other areas like cooking your meal from scratch or building a toy model. Any situation where you are actively involved in the creation process, you are likely to value the end product more. However, the IKEA effect also has a flip side. It can lead to an overestimation of the value of our DIY creations and an inflated sense of pride in our capabilities. We might ignore the actual quality or usefulness of the end product, focusing instead on the effort we put into creating it. But overall, the IKEA effect demonstrates a brilliant blend of psychology and economics. It shows how companies can harness our cognitive biases to increase the perceived value of their products and, in turn, boost sales. So the next time you're assembling that IKEA furniture, remember you're experiencing behavioral economics in action. From retail giants, let's shift gears to public policy and the power of nudges. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is a nudge? A nudge is a subtle push or a gentle persuasion that influences our decision-making process. They're not forceful, nor do they restrict our choices. Instead, they guide us towards making a particular decision, usually one that benefits us or society as a whole. Let's consider the concept of organ donation. In some countries, the default option is to be an organ donor unless you actively opt out. This is a classic nudge. It's not forcing anyone to donate, but it's nudging people towards a socially beneficial decision. And the results? Countries with an opt-out system have significantly higher rates of organ donation. Another example is tax payments. Some governments have implemented nudges by showing taxpayers how their money is used. For example, providing a breakdown of public services funded by their taxes. This nudge encourages compliance by making the abstract concept of taxation more tangible and relatable. But nudges aren't just used by governments. They're all around us. Ever noticed how supermarkets place essential items like milk and bread at the back of the store? That's a nudge. It's designed to make us walk past all the other tempting products, increasing the likelihood that we'll make additional purchases. The power of nudges lies in their subtlety. They work on our unconscious minds, gently steering us in a particular direction. And the best part? They often work without us even realizing it. Now, you might think that being influenced without our knowledge could be manipulative. But remember, nudges aren't about force or coercion. They're about guiding us towards better decisions for ourselves and for society. Nudges, subtle yet powerful, have a significant impact on our decisions, often without us even realizing it. So next time you find yourself reaching for that extra item in the supermarket or agreeing to be an organ donor, remember the power of the nudge. It might just be shaping your decisions more than you think. Now that we've seen behavioral economics in action, let's summarize what we've learned. Firstly, we delved into the realm of coffee and the Starbucks effect. This highlighted how a seemingly simple action, like purchasing a cup of coffee, is influenced by a multitude of psychological factors. The ambiance, the brand, and the perceived value all play a part in our decision-making process. This is a prime example of how behavioral economics operates in our day-to-day lives. Then, we moved on to the world of flat-pack furniture and the IKEA effect. This phenomenon underlines our tendency to attach greater value to things we've personally invested effort into. The act of assembling a piece of furniture ourselves, despite the potential frustration and time spent, creates a unique sense of ownership and satisfaction. It's a powerful illustration of how psychology can drive our economic decisions. Next, we touched on the subtle but potent force of nudges. These small prompts or suggestions can significantly influence our choices, steering us towards certain actions without removing our freedom to choose. Nudges are everywhere, from the layout of a supermarket to the default settings on our smartphones. They're a testament to how understanding behavioral economics can help shape our actions in a desired direction. In essence, behavioral economics is the fascinating fusion of psychology and traditional economics. It provides a more nuanced understanding of economic decision-making by acknowledging that we are not always purely rational actors. Our emotions, biases, and social context play a pivotal role in shaping our decisions. This understanding can be transformative, whether you're a business trying to understand your customers, a policymaker aiming to nudge public behavior, or an individual seeking to make better financial choices. It underscores the necessity of viewing economic behavior not just through the lens of cold, hard numbers, but also through the complex prism of human psychology. Remember, every economic decision we make is a complex interplay of rationality and emotion. So the next time you're making a decision, big or small, consider the behavioral economics at play. And with that, we've come to the end of our journey into the world of behavioral economics. We've navigated the Starbucks effect, assembled the IKEA effect, and pushed the power of nudges. These aren't just academic concepts locked away in ivory towers. They're practical tools you can use every day, in every decision you make. By understanding the psychology that drives our economic decisions, we can make smarter choices, better investments, and foster a healthier relationship with our finances. Remember, every purchase, every investment, every financial decision is an opportunity to apply these concepts. The more you use them, the more intuitive they become. It's not just about understanding economics, it's about mastering the art of decision-making. Thank you for joining us on House Lux Estate, your trusted guide in the world of economics. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Until next time, keep those economic gears turning.